Good morning and welcome to the Freedom Network. My name is Seanin and I am your host. And today we have the amazing, beautiful, incredible Maddie Schaefer. Maddie is no nonsense. She knows a lot. She holds a lot of really powerful tools for moving through interesting times. And I'm certain this week, it's no accident that she's arrived here and now with her wisdom and her joy. She's an absolute joy to hear and to be around and to listen to. Please, if you're interested and this is something that you're keen on, and I know you all are, share the video along. The more we can get Maddie across the globe, the happier this planet will be. So I'm going to invite her on now. Hey, Maddie.
Hello.
Thank you for being here.
I feel like I should do a stand-up comedy routine now. I have to say, actually, this is really interesting because we were going to do this 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I swear I clicked your link and I went to the calendar, I picked a thingy, and I thought I confirmed the appointment, and then, there was no appointment. So clearly it was meant to happen today.
It was. And given the conversation we were just having, is it any wonder? And you are the queen of cutting things down to the very simple bones, right? And communicating in such a way that's accessible. You have a wealth of information, and you make no distinction, between any soul that you're sharing with. You make a point of making everything accessible for everybody, and your generosity is very much valued and respected. I want to say thank you for that, because what you're doing out there is beautiful, and it's so lovely to have you here. Now, before we continue, I want to tell people all about you, or let you tell people all about you, Maddie. So where do you come from? What are you all about?
Okay, all right. So can you tell I'm a neat freak? I had to straighten the camera. I'm actually not that much of a neat freak. Okay, so where I am in New Zealand. So it's currently 7:30 in the evening. Hello, world. We're all at the same time, and we're all different on the clock. So I'm in Wellington, New Zealand. I'm sitting here in my lounge. Excuse me, and I've got a tickle in my throat, but there's nothing wrong with me, really. So when you say, what do I do? What am I about? Ask me a question, Seanin, because I think that'll focus me. Otherwise, I could spend far too much time talking about me. And, well, that's a little bit interesting. It's not really the meat of what we're here to do.
Okay. So when did you wake up?
Oh, that. Yeah. I'm not one of those people that had a massive, bolt of lightning experience. I came in as a gifted child. Definitely, I do have an amazing mind. It's taken me a long time to realize, actually, how whatever it is that my brain is. It's like I can learn things very quickly. Anyway, so gifted child, parents who were both affected by the Second World War did their very, very best. They did their best. Nothing really missing. But, of course, I'm this weird interdimensional collective thing, which I didn't recognize until, when was it, 2009? And I didn't even really have the sort of characteristic star child thing of thinking, I don't really belong here. But what I did eventually wake up to in my teens was a sort of a, well, I started doing the spiritual thing. So I went to church, and then there was a sort of a turning point when I was 21, when I really had to decide if I was going to accept what some people in authority were saying, which actually was complete crap. Nothing to do with the church as a whole. It was just that particular situation. And what happened at that time was that I thought, well, if God is whatever, then I should be able to, if truth is truth, then I should be able to kick it from here to the end of the universe and back. I should be able to beat it. I should be able to kick the shit out of truth. And if it's really truth, nobody's going to mind. God is not going to care if I really question, if I really ask. And so what happened was that all of the labels fell off my Christian faith, but the truth of what I felt within me did not change at all. In fact, it expanded and it grew, and and that was when I was 21 and things sort of, progressed just slowly and piecemeal from there. And so if I was 21, then it was 1987, which of course is the year of the harmonic concordance. And then fast forward to 2004, long story. It's on my website if you want to see it. And 2004, I'd done my Reiki masters, and I was thinking, I just got this push to go into practice. It's like, really? You want me to? Okay. And I distinctly recall saying, well, we can do seated Reiki, or we can do, lying down Reiki. And should I get a chair or a massage table? And it was like this sort of, the quintessential archetypal thunderous voice of God in my head that said, get a chair. I can't do this sort of rumbling, booming bass, thunder from the heavens. But it was really, really clear. So I got a chair. It's over there. And I started doing Reiki with people. And what I discovered was that it was this interactive thing. There was a conversation. They were involved. It was co-creative. And over time, I sort of, I realized that, and I'm missing out all sorts of bits of the story. It doesn't matter. I realized that I was kind of channeling, but who I was channeling was kind of changing all the time. And eventually it was kind of like I realized I was channeling an advanced version of myself. And I was, but I wasn't. And then in 2009, so that was 5 years later, there was this sort of, my husband and I went to a presentation by Dolores Cannon with Tabash. Yeah, of course, she's crossed over now. But she was talking about the star children, and we both listened to her, and I thought, well, there's my husband. And then I think it was 2 days later, it did hit me like a bolt. I thought, oh, geez, that's me. I'm from a very long way away from here, and I'm so homesick, it hurts. And I'd never been homesick in my entire life. Yeah, I'd gone to school camps and everything and never been homesick. But this was really painful. And so there's this sense of, a star system not in this galaxy. Well, I don't know. Very long way away. You have you have Earth, you have the Pleiadians, and I don't know what order it goes, the Sirians, the Arcturians, and, the Orions. Yeah. And there's all these iterations, and whether it's symbolic or whatever, I feel like my many, many lifetimes and going from being the paramecium to, sort of gaining consciousness and doing the whole thing, because people talk about having hundreds of thousands of life on Earth, going through the whole arch of civilization. I feel like that happened for me seven iterations ago. We don't know the name of that star system. And I really don't, the number doesn't matter, but, that's what it feels like. And I have some really, really clear memories of that place, and it was incredible. And I've never been here before. So I'm not really particularly, I'm much more accomplished at being human than I was, but I recognized eventually that, that was a bit of a, and gee, do I really, really want to be here? It wasn't that I ever wanted to commit suicide. It was never that life was extremely difficult, but there was just this sort of great disconnect. So, process. Does that more or less answer the question?
Yes, totally.
Cool.
And you've been expanding out and expanding out and expanding out as a soul and as a being here, and you understand energies and your consciousness very well, right? You're like a phenomenal observer, right? Like from what I've picked up of you, you access things that everyone can access, tools, ways of understanding. You know what's going on around you from an energetic.
That's crazy. There's all this information in the field. And this is the bit that people think is really mystical and esoteric and, Maddie's special because she can do it. It's like, no, I couldn't do any of this stuff when I was small. I did not come in like this. I came in completely blind and deaf, really. And I had to wake up to it slowly. I didn't have some great, I didn't have a near-death experience. I didn't have a massive thing where I suddenly had all these abilities. I just tuned in and learned and practiced, and I think that's something I say a lot of, is that everything gets better with practice. And I think often we just have to say, well, if this is an innate human capability, then I know I've got it, and I probably switched it off in order to survive. You get all these incredibly sensitive beings that come in, they have little bodies and the parents have their stuff that's going on, and it's all just washing in, and and so many stories of people who say, oh, I'm an empath and everything's overwhelming, and we all come in with it, and then we have to survive, so we shut things off. It's just very sensible, but it just doesn't serve us later necessarily.
Exactly. It doesn't serve us. And there's a lot. This is what I love, the energy behind you. Like, speaking of energies, what have you been picking up this week? What's been happening?
Well, now
we had a bit of a chat about this.
Yeah, I pay no attention whatsoever, but it's true. I don't like la 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 la. I'm not listening. I don't know. But I have. It's interesting because my physical balance I manage very well, and I do have to manage it. There are things it's shifting and improving all the time because of the work that I'm doing with Dr. Joe Dispenza's meditation, which is just lit up for me and really giving me access to deeper and more better, and I'm changing in front of my own eyes, and it's very exciting.
Yeah.
So that's really cool, but in the last week, really, it's been quite full this week for me. And time pressure has been something that has always pushed my buttons, really quite, time pressure. So it's been really interesting for me to go with this very rapid but smooth and synchronous flow of time, because I trust it. I really do now. I should say, I really trust it, except when I don't. That happens. Yeah. I lose the plot, but I come back to it quickly. Yeah. And then, my physical balance has actually been off for the last few days. So it's been like I've had this first push inside my head and I've been very reactive. And of course, dear body, I'm back more or less on track this evening. Just like, thanks, I don't really want to be a troll when I'm being interviewed. I felt like a troll yesterday.
It's important. It's important though. And this is the thing. You, whatever you said to me this morning when we come on, it was exactly what I was experiencing. Everything that you get, and I love how you uncomplicate things. Right? The first time I saw you was in Soul Speaks 5D with Todd, and you just uncomplicate things. And there's such respect in your language, and in your sharing as well. Way that
I've practiced that. I really have. If you had met me before I was 21. Because I did a course. It's not 21, maybe 22 or 23. I did a course, 6-week course that you're supposed to finish and do the thing, and then you could do the thing. Again, I'm not going into details, too long. Who cares? The thing was, that 6-week course, it took me 3.5 years to qualify. And what it was a communication course. And the whole premise of it, which is still more or less what I do, is the basic principle is to prove through your words and actions that you understand how the situation is for the person you're speaking to, or being with, or talking to, or whatever. And that, in a word, is empathy and presence. And if the person is melting down, probably the last thing they want you to say is, "Oh, it's okay, darling," or "Here's a solution," or anything. It's like, in one thing, if you can do that, you can hold space for people, and you don't impose stuff on people. And the interesting thing for me was, I don't know how many years it was later, when I finally realized, oh shit, I actually have to know how to say no, because I had no boundaries. I lost myself in that. So there was a balance. Because when you do that completely, you actually disappear out of the equation, which is great if you're in a therapeutic context, but not really in life. So anyway, if you met me before that, you would have, chalk and cheese, really. And it was painful, really realizing how appallingly bad I was. I had no empathy at all. It just wasn't switched on. And this very painful experience by somebody who could have really made it easier, but I got it. I did get it. And I'm good at that now,
And you've been sharing a lot on manifestation, right? Sharing a lot on, and I'd love to have you talk about this for everybody watching, because your content, it is incredible, right? And what you're sharing out there is valuable. And this is a big theme, for me personally, I had a conflict this week with someone, and it was like, a beautiful human being, and completely out of context of who they are and what is expected of that experience. And I was going down this road of, path of least resistance. I'm just going to honor this. I'm going to honor this. I'm going to keep going soft. But the energy is getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And any attempt to alleviate that just wasn't working. And that's when I have to reflect on, what's it about for me here? What am I supposed to be learning? Right? Because, and I looked back on kind of the trajectory of the last year, and a lot of it's been to do with me honoring myself, and and actively seeing and understanding that I will continue to manifest these circumstances until I'm direct with people. This old fake way of being spiritual, for example. Where
always being nice.
I was buried in that for ages, Maddie, right? I was one of those pleasers, and I just wouldn't speak up for myself in certain circumstances.
Me too.
And I was like, right.
Excuse me, I'm just untying myself here.
I was like, this is definitely an example of that again. And then there was this old thought process that came up where it's like, how did I manifest this?
Yeah. What the hell is going on here?
Yeah, exactly. Right. And for people watching, when they're going through certain things and there's certain elements of their life that they want to expand and other parts that they're ready to let go of, that process that you offer, that understanding is vital. And even for me sitting here, to hear you again would be great. Everybody, everybody would be amazing.
All right, let's pull this ball of wax apart a little bit. But we'll start playing with what you've shared, because the thing is, it's a ball of wax, it's a ball of string. It doesn't matter which piece you pull, you get the whole thing anyway.
Yes.
And that's something that's actually been a real, thing for me to realize is there is no, I say this often, but it's true. In the field, in consciousness, where everything comes from, there is no wall between physical well-being, financial well-being, my relationships, my purpose, my work in life. There's no wall. We don't compartmentalize anything. Therefore, if I decide to put a focus on relationships, or boundaries, or my self-well-being, or whatever, and I really focus on that, and I pay attention to that, and I manifest something wonderful in that space, other things are going to shift anyway. They are going to shift anyway, because it's the same ball of wax. So, relationships and interactions, they do keep showing up, because, of course, we're all master manifestors. We really are. The bugger of it is that we're master at manifesting what we're master at manifesting. And if we don't happen to like what we're a master at manifesting, then we've actually got to become a different master manifestor. And therein lies the fun part of saying, well, who the hell am I if I'm not lackful and fearful or poor or sick or whatever it is? It really is about identity. So, you and I, we've both had this thing of, and it's a thing also that becomes more important as you start to, you get more profile, you more people come into your life, you're shifting from someone who's really starting to someone who has already started. We're both in that place. And it's like, you realize, oh yeah, I got to hold this differently now. And I think a very important part of that is this word boundaries, or you could say standards. But the phrase that I learned from my mentor was actually, what am I available for? What am I available for here? And in relationships, it's a big deal, It's like, this person's behaving like a complete ass. It's not even, why are they doing it? What do I have to learn from this? Or all of those are worth doing. But fundamentally, do I even want to have this in my space?
Yeah.
And if I don't, well, okay, that's kind of awkward, but what am I going to do about it? And if I do, and that's not, it's not a carte blanche to just tell people to piss off. Sorry, there's a bullshit-free zone. Politically incorrect, because I get to do that.
I love it. Hit us with it all.
All this, pearl drops, teeth, and perfectly coiffed and made up. No, what you see is what you get. So the challenge of, what's the best version of me in this situation, in terms of what's right for me? Because what's right for me is what's right for the other person. They may not like it, but if I if I do that, I'll be nice, I'll be pleasing, I won't be in alignment. I will not. I will, in my manifestation, honestly for me, is immediately going to be kind of become jangly and discordant, because I know that I've ignored my truth. And it's really hard when you realize that the connection has changed with somebody, and you don't really even want to admit it, because then you think, oh God, what am I going to do now? But at least the best version of me, and this is actually kind of happening at the moment for me, with just somebody who's very dear, but I realize I don't really relate to them anymore. And it's like, well, now what do I do? Because right now my time is really, I'm not going to say that word, because I was going to say my time is really precious to me. That's not true. It's, where do I want to put my energy? Because wherever my focus goes, my energy is there. And if I'm not really wanting to spend time with that person, then I bloody well better not do it. because I'll be actively fighting myself, and I won't be really present with them in a way that is going to be any use to them, you know. And it takes guts to actually even admit that to myself. Never mind, oh, what the hell am I going to say to them or do or not do? You know, it's like, I know it'll sort itself out, but the challenge is always in me, just like for you to think, oh, gee, you know, what do I actually want here? Really, what's right for me? What did you come to in the end?
It was offered a lot of compassion, a lot of open doors, a lot of understanding, but every time it just wasn't being heard, right? It was like there was something was being heard from what I was actually saying.
Yeah.
And I was in that place of, right, I understand this pain, and I extended that understanding and tried to be present, but I didn't want to be seen.
Yeah, nothing you can do.
Say so. And it got to that place where there was just an increased level of like, kind of just, it felt like very intense. It's very intense projection. And I realized, I was like, right, for me, I need to call this what it is and put a line under it. It was like, I can't do this. Because they were asking for more. It was a consistent ask for more.
Right.
And then it was like, I gave, and then I gave again, and then there was more given, and then it wasn't good enough. So it was, I want more given. And I was like, no, mine down now, right? And I had to but what was actually happening. Whereas before I was in this avoidance state of not communicating what was really occurring. I could watch it all and see it all, but out of respect, I was like, I'm not going to say what this is, you know? But I thought, no, I'm going to have to now. And that's kind of where I was. In this process of realizing that being conscious, being loving in this world needs to include all beings, and it needs to include myself, and also not being afraid to accept, you know, the good, bad, the ugly, the funny, the weird, and the lumpy. Do you know what I mean? Because there's all of that here. There's all of that here. No matter what's happening, we have to see that and honor that.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. And I think you've raised something that's obviously important for at least somebody, but it's important for me, for you, for all of us, that in this whole sort of self-development gig that we're doing, there's an enormous amount of pressure to focus on the positive, to, you know, and if we acknowledge the darkness, if we acknowledge the difficulty, if we feel the bad feelings, that's bad and it's pulling us down and it's breaking the manifestation, and that's not true. I'm sorry, I'm not half the Tao. We are the whole thing. We are the whole thing. And, you know, if you're not willing to actually be present with your own pain or your sorrow, you certainly can't be present with anyone else's in a way that's useful. And you can't allow your anger to come up and say, hang on a minute, I've got to defend myself, because sometimes it's necessary. It's like we're somehow expected to turn into these namby-pamby people pleasing, you know, all sparkles and light. It's like, no, if I'm really that powerful, then I am powerful to say no as well as to say yes.
Yes.
And I think that's really important, you know. It's like, yeah, I'm sweetness and light, but not if you try to put stuff on me. I mean, I won't start swearing at you. I'll just say no, it's not, no. And it's a challenge sometimes, because, you know.
It definitely is. Because, like, I don't know about you, when you can see the full 360, there's like a part of me that is like keeps moving into this place, and it's something I'm learning to shift now, and something I'm owning from this moment, right? Where I want to help.
Yes.
I mean? But then it's different when being there for the actual problem becomes being used for other things.
Yes. Well, it's the difference between codependency and co-creation, if you like.
Yes.
And the fun thing, if you haven't, and you've probably already done this to some degree, I get a feeling, the fun thing with anything, this is for everybody, anything that keeps coming back, what's the win? What is the win? Because there's always a win for us in these things that keep coming back. And, you know, with the thing of wanting to help everybody, it's often some kind of validation. Not always, God forbid I should make a generalized statement. It's often the case. But, you know, that's like saying it's like saying all redheads are from Ireland, and that's not true. You know, I have red hair, not a drop of Irish genetics. But it's what is the win, you know, and sometimes it's drama, and it's actually difficulty, And I understand better about this now, just doing a little hop into what I've been learning from Joe Dispenza recently about the fact that our negative emotions are actually addictive at a biochemical level. So what happens is, Ozzy tell the story about the person says, I'm underpaid. And then the brain, because the brain is the brain, it goes looking for more thoughts of the same vibration, the same level. It's like, my boss is a jerk and I hate my co-workers, and this thing goes round and round and round. It produces a level of mind, and then it produces a kind of biochemistry that goes with that. And if you keep doing that, that's there. If you keep doing that feeling or through the whole of your day, what happens then is that the biochemistry actually inspires more thoughts. So your feeling becomes your thinking. And it becomes this automated thing. It just goes round and round and round. And you're not even really conscious of the fact that you are in this shitty space about your workplace from the minute you think, I've got to get on the train and go to work, to the minute you get home and say, thank God that's over. And it just becomes this habitual state of being.
Yes.
Which program, this is the program. So to actually, to notice that, to think, gee, but the thing is, it is addictive. The people that are always into drama, and you think, you just fix that drama, and then something else comes along. They manifest it at a quantum level because they actually need the adrenaline, and that because that's what their body wants. And when there's nothing going on in their lives, they will create it for themselves, and they don't realize it's not, that bloody person, they're being an idiot, being dramatic again. It's
love, honor, respect.
It's just
love, honor, respect. Yeah.
It's just the habit. It's the familiar feeling of me that needs that rush of whatever it is, or the feeling, the guilt or the depression or the whatever. It's what we're used to, and so we keep generating it until we think, hang on a minute, is there another way to be?
That's so helpful. That's so helpful to understand, right? Because
awesome.
It just feels beautiful. It feels beautiful to see and witness that, because it's so funny actually, because that used to be me. So in a sense, with a circumstance, I'm seeing my old self.
Yeah.
And I can have deeper compassion. And I kind of knew that on some level, but you've explained it with such clarity. Why I love you, right? It's clarity, no bullshit. You're accessible to everyone. I love that, right? And I have vast respect for it. Because I saw myself, and it's why I understood so intensely, right? And I understood what was needed to say. And it was actually, it's a gift in a way. That way there's the win, because I'm realizing, I'm not actually there anymore, because that's not, I didn't do what I used to do. I'm not working from that dynamic anymore. Not feeding it. So that was nice. Thank you.
Hey! And that is often what happens, That really is. And this is the process of moving through something, right? You realize by life, and remember, you manifest your life. I manifest my life. Everything that's around me right now, I have lovingly and benevolently manifested for myself, because it's totally the thing that I need to move through now to become who I want to be. So to begin with, when you first think, oh my God, I'm so habitually used to feeling in lack, and it feels like this huge mountain, and you're trying to even imagine what it feels like to feel different. And then you start to create a new self that feels more abundant. And then, like you were saying, but with this other thing, somebody comes along who is absolutely embodying the kind of lack mentality that used to be, and you think, oh, that's horrible. And then you think, oh my God, that's who I used to be. Right, I actually moved. Great, there's evidence. So despite the fact that there's still all this resistance and things haven't appeared yet the way that I think they should, I've actually moved. Woohoo. And I mean, it can be like that, but also what I find is that when I'm getting into the flow, when I'm getting into any degree of a new self that's, wanting to let more good things in, the synchronicities start to stack up. They just do. The more in flow I am, and things aren't perfect, my life's still carrying on, I've still got the same challenges, except that these good things keep dropping in. Little things that I don't have any resistance to just come, and they come faster and thicker and easier. And it's like, oh, okay, I know that I'm in the right vibe. And you start to realize, or sometimes people tell you, like they did yesterday, amazing connection with a friend who's she sees, wow. And she said, Maddie, you're this master manifester, and there's just no reason Absolutely, you are keeping the money out. And she, she asked me this really, and I won't go into it because it's just a whole, big distraction, but she asked me a really important question. And it's like, oh, my brain was just going, I don't even register that. But the knowing in me here said, yep, that's it. She's onto it. So now I've got my next thing. And I've been kind of asking that question for the last couple of weeks, thinking, it's not what am I missing? What do I have to do? But I know there's a next something that needs to come. There's more information or something to open up. And meanwhile, I'm still working on creating what it is inside myself and holding it stronger and clearer. And, before it used to take me a whole meditation to really connect with the joy and the passion, the love for life. And now I can really bring that up fast. Now, that's coming from somebody who had no passion for life, really, because life was just a struggle. Life was just... And I'm not talking about the kind of struggle for people who, they live on the street because they've lost everything or they've had a terrible illness, not traumatic struggle, but just internal. This is not easy. So, for me, my journey's been all this, what are you making a fuss about, Maddie? Why aren't you happy? Because everything's so comparatively easy for you, but yet you've got no joy and there's always this great lack around. So it's been really interesting, step by step. Going faster now because I've got better tools to get into my own operating system and really change the core programming. It's very, very cool. I just love it.
That's powerful. I love that so much. And it's so interesting how when we, there's always a conscious process of shift that then reveals a layer of subconscious shift that is required in order to create that conscious, right? There's always a revelatory aspect to whatever we're pinning to, whatever we're revealing within ourselves. And I love how the universe plays cooperatively with that.
Yes.
And when we see it in that way, it becomes a beautiful thing when we realize everything is essentially for us. And, it's from that place of trust. We're like, wow, okay, this is for me. This is for me to move through. This fits exactly with what I've been fixing upon, with what has been important to me in my evolution here.
Yes.
And staying open as well is so important, I feel. Like staying open to new, staying open to growth, staying open to listening to other people, and to taking support when it's needed,
Yes.
There's a lot of power dynamics coming up, the last couple of days, a lot of stuff coming up around personal power, and for me anyway.
It's interesting. And
it's something that is so bizarre because for the last 2 weeks I was like, it's all about peace, all about joy, it's all about everybody's equal. So of course every part of me, right, that was denying my own power, and every part of me that was attached to it had to come up.
Because you're saying, I'm not that anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's exactly how it works.
You sure?
It's very much like that. A nice way that I like to talk about it is if you think of us or yourself or whatever as like Russian dolls, and if you're used to being a Russian doll of a certain size, when you grow, it's been comfortable in here, but now I'm too big. I'm banging up against these walls. They're really getting in my way. And so we actually get very close to the stuff that is resistant just at the time we're moving through it. And what happens is people think that because there's the resistance is screaming at them and there's all this fear and there's all this circumstances, their life seems like it's going to hell in a handbasket, that must mean that they're failing. And I always say, no, you're expanding. This is expansion. We sort of have this idea that expansion is this great, blissful, exciting, wonderful thing. And it's like, that's how it is after the expansion's over, usually. Expansion has a lot of grunting involved in my experience.
Yes. We're literally never done. But I find that fascinating. I find it beautiful. You're sharing such immense material. Guys, please go check out Maddie's sharing. She's teaching and coaching people on manifestation at the moment, and she has it down to a fine art, understanding how this operation works. And I love how you can hold that and say, this is something I'm handling within me also, right? And it's how you
Yeah.
have that knowing. It's how you have that knowing. Like we're always at our best, most effective. From whatever we are moving through becomes what we're here to share, you know?
Yes.
And it's moment by moment wisdom now, really honoring and respecting that, you know, that everything is flow and we cannot stay fixed on a specific misnomer, a specific aspect, you know? The universe works for us when we are open to consistently being present for the conversation, the signals, the little guides, like you showing up here today. Massive lack programs running through a lot of people I know right now, a lot of big complexities here. And it's so fortunate that you've arrived just in this moment. I'm thinking, thank you, universe, for bringing Maddie into the picture right this second. Because, you know, the thing is, like, we can talk and talk and talk all day from one dichotomy, from one side of the story. We can talk about abundance and joy and flow and ease, but the conversations need also to speak of from a direct place, from a place of full spectrum consciousness, seeing the whole screen, the other side as well.
Yes.
Otherwise,
Yes.
nobody learns.
Yeah. It's like, you know, okay, so let's talk about lack, not oh poor me, oh how awful.
Yes.
It actually feels appropriate to share a little bit of my story, okay?
Yeah.
So, because, you know, and it's so undramatic. It's, you know, people tell these amazing things about all the crap they've been through. No, the only challenge I've had really is that I've always had enough to survive and get by, but there's never been enough for much more than that. I've never had a really decent paying job, even though I'm this bloody gifted Mensa child, you know. And I mean, it took me until I was 40 to really know even what I'm good at. You know, I mean, here I am. I've been in this body 53 years in August, and really I've only been doing this for 2 years. So it's taken me a long time to really grow into what the consciousness of humanity has been only recently allowing. So, you know, that's a co-creation too. So there's been immense financial frustration. And I am sitting here still not earning yet enough to break even. So I'm surviving because I have provided for myself. There is a wonderful family trust that means I'm not out on the street or we don't have to sell a house. And, you know, in my head, there can be, and this is something I recognized relatively recently, it's not a judgment. It was just a sheer frustration of, you know, here I am and I'm still not doing this yet. And I'm brilliant at what I do. And I know I'm brilliant at what I do. And yet I don't have lots of clients. And, you know, and I have this beautiful group where people make transformations and yet it's small. And I do this amazing life-changing coaching 5 days a week. And there's a few people that support me with, you know, like a cup of coffee a month. But, you know, it's like, where's my stuff? What am I doing wrong? What am I missing? And you know, so you know, here I am with all this wonderful wisdom and love and everything. It's like, still, that's going on. And that is the 3D thing. What I know, what I feel inside me now is this immense, and it's taken me 2 months to build this, 2.5 months now, this immense knowing that it's here. I won't say that it's coming. There is no coming about anything. There is no out there in the field. It's you know, so yeah, and there's so much I could talk about. It's easier to talk about it in the lives, you know, than to try and cover it here. But as much as my thinking wants to say it's because of this and it's because nobody comes and you know, nobody wants to play with me or nobody wants to be my client or whatever, all of that shit used to be what went through my head. And the common one, oh, they're not ready for me. That was what I used to believe. And then I sort of stood up and started talking and realized people were just like, yes, please, we've been waiting for you to stand up. So all of the stories that I used to tell myself, I now know that's just not true. At some really fundamental level, I have been keeping the resource out. And I think, well, what's the win been? Actually, I haven't asked myself that question for a while. And I think there has been a level of addiction to the feelings of lack because they're not, I mean, I came in and I set that up. This lack is sort of, there's been a lot of it through the whole of time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting. Like, oh, yeah, there's a win in that, because it's just, oh, poor me. But it's also, what was the also? But that's the 3D thing. Inside, there is a much clearer knowing that it's here, and that no matter what it looks like, tra la 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 la, I'm not saying I'm not listening and see no evil, hear no even speak no evil. It's in here. The source of everything. And I keep pointing to my heart, because that's the generator. When that's coherent, when I am in love with life, when my heart is open, when I feel the delight, when I feel the joy of being completely supplied and utterly connected with everything. First of all, I don't really care what my bank balance is. But secondly, I can utterly feel it when I have way more money than I need to renovate my house, which is what I want to do. Not because I want it to have diamond whatnots on the doors, but because I just want it to be in good shape. And I have money to help other people, which is so much fun. And it's just nice to be able to do things. It's like I was talking, like I said, I was talking with my beautiful friend yesterday, and I said, shopping really doesn't excite me, because when I go shopping, I don't see the item on the shelf. I see the whole supply chain. I see, it's like I said, when I walk past a jewelry store, I see a diamond. What I see is a great hole in the ground, and the people who dug that thing out, and the environmental impact, and how the people were treated, and how it got here, and the ships, and the workshop, and any product. It's not just the product; it's how it's got here, and what happened to it. What happens to it when its life cycle is over. I see things from end to end. Which is like, oh, gee, I just destroyed some people's shopping addiction right there, because you also care about the planet, and you think, oh, my freaking God, really? So I see the whole thing, even with just the little bit that I know. So, that doesn't excite me. It really doesn't. What excites me is being able to do the things that I desire to do. And being me, they're things that I feel good about. So chances are that other people are probably going to like them too.
Yes. And where's where it is. It's like the concept, the facilitation for true abundance is allowing yourself to see where it already is, and understanding that you are it. And in essence, this is something that is so evident and so clear in you, and partly perhaps part of what is happening here, where you're realizing it's not the knowledge of the abundance, it's you as a whole, it's you as you share, it's you in your moments, it's you in your experience, and expanding or loving this energy that you bring out, because this is something I need to say, you embody that energy for me beyond the information. You really do, right? And there's a self-awareness and a self-containment and a presence within you that is rare and hard to access at all times. Maddie tends to pop up when things are really intense, right? And the first thing she does is she goes, hi, right? And it's a great big smile, and she beams out all this love at people, and I'm like, she's on it. Like, she knows what's going on.
You do know, Seanin, that every day before I go live, I've just spent 42 or 53 minutes in coherence or becoming coherent. So my brain is wired up. I am emitting photons. Literally, it's what happens when we're coherent. We emit light. There is a powerful field around me. And all I've done is I've walked to the top of the hill, looked at the view. There was no view today. It was just all cloud. And walked back. And then I'm live. So, you get the very best of me, because I'm really, I'm really coherent. And, some days I know I've spent time in Gamma, which is just the most amazing brain state to be in. It's beautiful. And I feel energy flowing through my body. I feel so good. Sometimes it's just you're getting a download, you're getting a physical upgrade, and I may or may not know what it is. Sometimes it's been really diametric. It's just a change. So, that's why I really rock on my lives. But, I have my oh shit days too. Please, believe me.
I love it though. want to ask you another question. So
Yeah.
as you've been, how long have you been out here serving and sharing?
I did my very first live under the cherry tree on the 9th of June 2017. So I have just passed my second anniversary. And I actually did one every single day except for 3 weeks over Christmas, between 2017 and Christmas 2018.
Wow.
And then I sort of had this realization, long story short, I need the weekends. So now I do replays on weekends. And, the replays still get watched, and sometimes they get comments, so I know that people are still getting value from those. And the interesting thing is, the Saturday replay is whatever jumps out from the week to be reiterated. And the Sunday is like, well, we're going back in history. And I just sit there, and you can pull down the timeline. It's like, what month? Oh, that month. And I have the sense of where in the month I need to be going. And then I just go there until something jumps out and says, me, please.
Oh, wow. I love
Which
that.
means that somebody is asking, or, the universe knows. And I am the universe, right? You're the universe. We're all connected in the field. So I get these requests. And the same thing happens every day. And I haven't done this today. So when we finished, and I'll give myself a little bit of slow time because, that's kind of nice. But I still need to go into Facebook, look at the comments, and really the coaching that happens there from today's live. And then what happens is I look at those, and almost always something in the comments will jump out and say, this is what tomorrow's live's about. Very occasionally, there's nothing there, and the universe just says, we want you to talk about this. And so that's how it works. And it's interesting because the last couple of days, because my brain's been in such a scramble, it's been really quite hard. It's been like pulling teeth to get to what it is. I always do. But, normally I just sit down and within 10 minutes, I've got that bit of it done. I couldn't even upload the video to YouTube yesterday. It just wouldn't go. I'll try again today. I think there was a Windows update, and I think it slightly upset my machine. So, we'll try again.
Oh, wow.
So
this is so good. What do you do to maintain yourself? Like on a daily, do you have a daily practice to keep yourself up, to keep yourself present? Like you're talking about this heart resonance thing.
Okay. So my daily practice really is the work that I do with Joe Dispenza. And the reason why I absolutely adore it is because the science is solid. And I'm a gifted explainer. That man is a gifted teacher. He really explains things well. And speaking as a gifted teacher, there are lots of people that annoy the snot out of me. He is not one of them. He explains things beautifully. and the science is so solid, and I mean he funds his own research from what he generates. So so he has a passion for finding this out. And I understand what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing, and I can feel myself. I go into alpha. I think, oh, yep, and then I can feel myself go into theta, which is sort of a deeper brain state. And then sometimes I can feel myself go into gamma, and I can tell when my heart's coherent because I know what it feels like, and it feels so very, very good. And even on the days when my brain's a bit distracted, because nobody's perfect, my brain's a bit distracted. There's stuff going on. Thoughts keep intruding. It doesn't matter. I just keep coming back because there's a thing he says, it's like you become determined that you will never get up until you're better than when you sat down. If you get up better than when you sat down, then that's a good thing. And I kind of know I've got this one slot of time and that's it. I've got this, so I better make the best of it. And it sets me up neurologically, coherently, connecting with the field for the day. For a long time, I've been pretty well connected anyway. It's like, I think I did an interview in zoology. I get my last interview in zoology, and Todd asked me, what do you do to stay connected? And it's like, well, actually, it's going to sound really egotistical. I don't do anything. But, I mean, I do, but it's normal for me to be able to just tune in because it's so excruciating for me to be incoherent, which is really what that, disconnected. I'm feeling separate. I'm feeling uncomfortable. I'm feeling scared. It's so uncomfortable that when that happens now, I got to do something about it. Yeah. I can't stay in that space. It's just no.
Exactly. And
It's horrible.
when it does get uncomfortable, right? So it's a
Yeah.
case of just that consistent. It's like not so much a practice, but just remembering your truth. Essentially, going to the soul of you and saying, right, this is where I am. Working with the Joe Dispenza meditation, like difficult experiences that you have had, difficult challenges that you have had. Have there been occasions in your life where you've had to go a little deeper with the
Oh
darker
yeah.
emotions? Yeah.
Yeah. So I use like now I find myself so solid that I don't have to use the tools I used before I got into this work as much, but I still sometimes do. If something roars up out of me, I have some really simple tools which I will not attempt to. Actually, if anyone wants to see a quick demo of the tools, go and find my last interview in Sology because it's there. We actually went through it. But I have some really quick tools which are kind of, there's a little bit of body talk, there's a little bit of kinesiology, there's a little bit of neuro-emotional technique. I sort of rip bits out of things and glue them together because they just happen to work for me. I can take a really powerful emotion and shut it down pretty fast. And by shut it down, I don't mean suppress it. I mean literally stop it from just being like a wildfire in my body and in my mind. So I can get some clarity, and then I can start tuning in again and thinking, okay, what do I actually want here? And sometimes they're stacked up like pancakes. So you have to work through, more than one really powerful emotion before you think, okay, I got my brain back now. So yeah, I have those things, but I've just become very much more efficient at dealing with them. And I absolutely adore teaching other people to do that because it's so empowering and you don't have to keep doing it for them.
Yes.
People sometimes dial me up and say, would you do a reading for me? It's like, no, I don't do readings. I would much rather help you connect to your own truth.
Yes.
Don't give the man a fish. Teach him how to fish. It's exactly the same thing.
Yes.
I don't want people to be dependent on anyone, really. No one is an island. I do learn from people. Very few, I have to admit, I'm extremely selective. But, oh, yeah, I need to learn. I need to be taught. So, there are people that only, that can only speak to you. It might be only one or two at any one time. Some people, they have very broad funnel. They get all this information in. They grab this, they grab that. It's fine. I'm not like that. So, yes, we do need some help and support. And I have a wonderful husband who's really very special. And, I'm very fortunate in that regard because I live with a soulmate. But mostly I'm responsible for myself. And when stuff comes up, it's my shit. I get to deal with it. And I really don't want anybody else coming in and saying, oh, you need to do this, Maddie, and you should do it. It's like, no. Ask me a question and help me figure it out for myself, please. Do not tell me how to fix myself because you don't bloody know. Ask me a question. I'm really big into asking questions. What if?
I love this. I love this so much. The energy inside of life currently, what's happening for people currently. Do you believe there's going to be an event, or that there is one that has already happened?
In the context of having no idea if there are people out in the world saying there's a big event coming, all I'm doing now, because I don't know, but if I tune in now, define for me what you mean by an event. Actually, I need more information.
Like, are we going through a very heightened mass experience of
oh hell yeah
this awareness right now, and more so than before?
I don't think it's anything particular in the last week or two. I think it's like we have hit critical mass as a consciousness and it's going up. You have this thing that goes along and then it gets a bit steeper and it boom. The fact that people are really noticing it at the moment. Why do I think? Well, the first thing I want to say is, really, are people noticing it any more than they usually do? Because, there's always somebody saying, oh, ascension symptoms and retrograde or what? Well, there's a solar flare. And I mean, I really have been wondering if the solar flare was having a thing, because the last few days have been a bit unusual for me. But I was also physically off. And that's, that happens. So, it's like, I don't know. Yes, we are in the turning point of human history. There is a 36-year window 18 years either side of 2012. That's the gateway. By 2030, it will, this really intense period that we're in will be less so. So that's the kind of scale that I feel about it. And this is not my download. This is, I resonate very deeply with Cryon. And this is the information that I have always, Cryon came through in 1987, the same year I woke up. I think that's a coincidence. For many of us, that year was important. And Cryon has been one of the very few sources that I resonate with. There's so many people channel so much. It's like, no, Cryon. And for a long time, there was nothing else at all, ever, that lit me up. And this, the end of the Mayan calendar, the 2012 thing really was a big deal. We made a choice in 1987 not to blow ourselves up in the year 2000. The prophecies changed. They have not happened. There will not be a third world war. Although there's lots of saber rattling and people saying there's all this stuff going on, we made the choice. That future is gone. There is a new future. So we made it through this gateway. And all of the thing is that when there's more light, you see more of the darkness.
Yes.
So everybody's saying we're going to hell in a handbasket, but actually, no, we're just seeing the crap that's been going on forever and a day anyway. And now we can do it about time for the poker scooper,
Yeah, we're just all doing a bit of tidying up. That's what it is. And we're in this real place right now, right? Where I can't be bothered to take myself seriously. There is that I used to take myself so bloody seriously, and I'm like, I don't give a shit. I don't care what he thinks of me. I don't care what energies are going on out there. I'm doing the work on myself, and I dropped intuitive reading recently, so I'm with you on that. And I was doing it for 11 years, and I'm in that place now where it's like, no, it's honestly returning everybody to the service to themselves, communication with the universe. I want everyone to go to Maddie, right? Maddie, tell them where they can find you, because I love you. I have vast respect for you. I really, really do. Every time I see you, you make me smile, and you make me feel so understood, right? I get you massively. So where can we find you? What are you offering? All of that, please.
Okay, all right. The spiel. I wonder can I comment? You've disappeared, Seanin, but I don't know if that's interesting. She has disappeared. I'm sure she'll be back. So where you can find me, see, I'm still learning about this whole deal of how these things work. Where you can find me is www.ensyth.com, and ensyth is there she is. Yay!
What happened there?
Can I type a comment, or can you be a typist while I talk?
Of course I can. I can do that for you now.
Okay, so www.e for Echo, N for November, S for Sierra, Y for Yankee, T for Tango, H for Hotel.com. That's Ensyth. We haven't said a word about Ensyth, but you can find out about Ensyth on the website.
There we go.
Yes, that's us.
Yeah. Awesome.
So Ensyth is an interdimensional collective, and they're where I come from, and they're also me, and they're also not me. And, I've done lots of collective stuff, and humanity is another collective. So, and in terms of what I do, I think I mentioned that a little bit before. So I do the daily coaching on Facebook, which really, there's a line that I put on, there's a page about that. Free isn't limp, and it's not. So enough said, check that out. That will be lovely if you want to join us. And then I have a coaching group, the Heart Field for Abundant Manifestation, which is exactly what it is. And that is an amazing, amazing space, and it chooses its own people. So if you're feeling a tug and a curiosity, there's a, /Heart Field. You'll see it once you get to the website. Have a look. You'll know. Ask me questions. Private message me, whatever. And then obviously there's one-to-one coaching as well. Now, I have to say, when you go to the one-to-one coaching page, it talks about 3-hour sessions. And people go, oh my God, 3-hour sessions. So for a very long time, this has only changed recently. This is why I need to explain this, because I'm going to have to rewrite the page, and I can't do it between now and the next 20 minutes. So, for a very long time, 3 hours was just how long it took, because we go deep. And I don't mean you're deep in trance. I mean you go deep into yourself. You come into alignment in your truth. People always come to a session with some kind of key question. They might not even know what it is. And it's not analysis paralysis. I keep asking questions and you keep finding answers about, what is it you want to create? Often I'll ask that. Sometimes people know, usually they don't. And so it goes very deep, and it always really took 3 hours. But more recently, through a series of events, how we co-create, I've sort of realized, Maddie, I think this is a barrier to people because, it's 3 hours and the associated cost. And now I really feel I can deliver value in a shorter session. It's not the same, but I really think I can. So I've got to actually put a thing on there to say pretty much, there's a thing that says how long is a session rather than what it says now. It's going to start with you choose.
Nice.
And then I will, I'll outline some options and things. So that's the proviso I want to say. If you want to look at the one-on-one coaching, understand that it's wide open. It's pretty flexible the way I've written it anyway. But I've had a shift and realized, okay, I'm comfortable that I can deliver sufficient value now in a shorter session that I will do that. I wasn't comfortable, so I wouldn't line up with it. I wouldn't put myself in a situation where I couldn't say, this is good. Because the thought was, oh, here we are, we're right in the middle of something, and I have to say, time's up, honey. So I don't really like that. But to have an intention that it will fit within this time and to know that we can do what we need to do in that time, and maybe be less in glide time. If you decide you want more, then we can very much go with the flow. It's very organic. So I wanted to explain that because see, it's growing with me too. It's constantly evolving. It's not been set in concrete yet, and it probably never will be.
Thank you so much for lighting up our mornings and evenings and afternoons wherever everyone is here. Maddie, you've been a pleasure.
Oh, you're so welcome. Pleasure. Absolute delight. Let's do it again sometime.
We will. I was just about to say that. Now, anytime at all. I think I'm going to send you the link again, get you back in a month or so. It would be fun. I want to talk to you about this collective. It'd be really, really interesting.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So thanks, Maddie. Thanks, everyone, for being here.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah. Maddie's truth is our unity. So please keep sharing it. Pass it along. Thanks, guys, for being here. And I'll see you later this evening with Sifu Boggy for more Dragon Dog Wisdom. Bye.